The internet has profoundly changed dating, and probably not always for the best, but this last week in Australia, a new app launched called Toffee, which bills itself as the very first online dating platform for people that went to private schools only. Now, to be honest, this sounds like the sort of thing that you would just invent to get people like us talking, but here I am taking the bait. We have Matt Hopkins, the gaming and technology editor for Pedestrian, and we have journalist and podcast producer Olivia Roseman. Just explain to me, Olivia, how it works.
It's apparently like any of your other dating apps. So you upload your name and a picture. It does have one special feature where you can write your own perfect dinner menu to share with your prospective mates. Well, I think it is a very funny choice of name, Toffee, because, you know, toff is like a British derogatory slang term for a rich upper class person. I think it's pretty horrible. I can't think of anything worse.
It is kind of funny to laugh at, but there is a rise in specialised dating services that have come through the internet. Is it any worse or better than the other dating services that are out there that do target specifically like elite singles and sugar daddies and things like that? Is it really any better or worse than those?
Like I can kind of see the point of an elite singles thing. Like, yeah, sure, no worries. But just because you went to a private school doesn't indicate success. I don't think private school culture is a big thing here. Unless I'm...
I mean, it's funny because I went to both. I went to public school. I went to an obnoxious private boys' school for a couple of years, and then I went to a tiny community Christian school where everyone was married by the age of 21. And what I have noticed is that the people that went to the obnoxious private boys' school that shall remain nameless, I do occasionally run into them and they're all still friends with each other and they're all lawyers or work in politics. And it is surprising to me that an old boys network actually is a thing.
I had exactly the same experience, let me say, Mark, experiencing both systems and occasionally run into them in absolutely the same things. I think that the difference between this as a dating app and some of the other niche dating apps is most of the niche dating apps are based on your interests, whereas this is just a weird kind of class-based thing that actually says nothing about you except maybe something about your socioeconomic status.
I don't know. Like elite singles and the sugar daddy apps are pretty they're pretty breaking people down on income.
Sure. And there's also one called Luxy that's for the uber rich, but I found a couple of other excellent niche dating apps that I'd like to share with you. So there is Bristler, of course, no vowels in that one. That's a dating app for bearded men and people who want to date bearded men.
Oh.
Matt's just like, suddenly I'm interested in this conversation.
I've been out of the dating game a long time.
Sizzle, also no E there at the end.
Let's just stipulate that they all are spelt stupidly. Yeah. Like they've all dropped a vowel for no good reason and moved forward.
So Sizzle is for bacon lovers. Then there's gluten-free singles.
No.
Oh.
This is my favourite one. Proving that you can make friends with salad. Salad match for salad lovers.
No.
Can you choose the type of salad? I'd love to know.
Earlier I was going to say only 34% of Australians are privately educated. So it's actually possibly a really bad market for them to launch in. Surely they would have been better off launching in the US or somewhere else.
Apparently that's relatively high. So even in the UK where they do have that sort of very different system, it was something only like 8 or 9%. I was really surprised to learn that too.
Oh, right.
Which is why they've chosen such a small market as their first international launch.
Are we then getting into eHarmony territory where you have to fill out an enormous questionnaire before we... that's probably the alternative, right? Where you could list every preference that you have.
I mean, you can get into trouble with that too, though, because there's been a slew of cases where Grindr, the gay dating app, got into problems where people were putting fairly racist things in there, like I'm not into Asians or I'm not into this. And, there's a lot of stories about borderline sort of abuse on those platforms as well. But it's also hard to work out where is the line. How do you communicate whether you do have preferences without also being inherently discriminatory?
And I think the other sort of strange thing about it is think about people in couples that I think about my own relationship. I don't think we share heaps of like preferences. And a lot of my friends, like the couples are two really different people.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it's funny to think that in the end, do you really want someone who's kind of very same-ish?
No way. Me and my girlfriend have nothing in common. Like, we have no interests in common, and it's so weird, but it works. Like, she's not into gaming. Our taste in movies and music is completely opposite, but we've been doing that for 10 years. So, something's working.
All right, there is lots more of this in the podcast of Download This Show. Yes, we neg Mac's relationship a little bit more as we talk about the World Health Organization, who have just classified gaming disorder as a real thing that can now be studied. What does that actually mean? Find out in the podcast. We'll see you there.